She found a snack.
It wasn't the one I wanted.
They are the brightest stars in the entertainment industry, white icons who have shaped modern pop culture. But behind the glitz and glamour lie untold stories, tales of cultural intersections, of Black individuals who have quietly inspired, guided, and shaped their paths to success. Can their current achievements truly be separated from the profound influence of the Black community? And were these relationships truly equitable? Join us as we uncover the top 15 white celebrities nurtured by Black mentors, where untold stories will unveil an entirely new perspective. Elvis Presley, the journey from a poor boy to the king of rock and roll. Elvis Presley, the blonde-haired boy from Tupelo, Mississippi, fell in love with music at a very young age. He grew up in a poor neighborhood where the lines between white and Black communities were not always clearly drawn. On summer nights, Elvis would often stand by the window of a Black church where gospel hymns echoed powerfully like prayers sent to God. During those stolen moments in the church, young Elvis met Mr. Luther, an older man with calloused hands and a deep, resonant voice. Luther was the first to teach Elvis how to feel music, not with his ears, but with his heart. Music isn't just notes, it's emotion, Mr. Luther would say. But tragedy struck one evening. When Elvis went to visit Mr. Luther's home, he found the door battered, windows shattered. Luther stood in the middle of his now empty living room, his eyes heavy with pain. "We have to leave," he said, his voice steady but filled with resolve. Luther's family had been forced out of the neighborhood after receiving threats from racist individuals. Elvis couldn't believe what he was hearing. "But you can't go. I need you," the boy cried, tears streaming down his face. Before leaving, Luther handed Elvis an old guitar, its strings worn and frayed, yet imbued with all his love and faith. "You will do what I couldn't, bring our music to the world," he said, his voice trembling but his eyes filled with hope. Elvis clutched the guitar tightly, as though it were the most precious treasure in the world. In the years that followed, Elvis kept his promise to Mr. Luther. He taught himself to play the old guitar, each string resonating with the whispers of his first mentor. When Elvis began performing, the blues and gospel influences were unmistakable in his music. Even though he didn't explicitly share the story, audiences could feel something different, something soulful, a hidden narrative embedded in every song. Hits like Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel were a fusion of white music and the soul of Black blues and gospel. Years later, when Elvis had become a global superstar, Mr. Luther happened to see him on a small television screen in his modest apartment. He wasn't angry or envious that the boy he once taught had far surpassed their shared beginnings. Instead, he smiled, proud to see the music of his community live on through the name Elvis Presley. Miley Cyrus, rediscovering herself through hip-hop culture. Miley Cyrus, born into a rural Tennessee family, was once the epitome of teenage sweetness as the star of Hannah Montana. Yet, deep inside, Miley felt trapped in a glass cage of perfection. After leaving Disney, she entered a rebellious phase, seeking a more authentic version of herself. One sweltering summer night in Atlanta, Miley walked into an underground music party where raw, vibrant hip-hop beats filled the air. Amid the heat of the music and the crowd, she met Jay-Z, the legendary rapper. "What are you doing here, among people like us?" he asked, his gaze piercing. Miley hesitated, her voice trembling. "I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for myself." Jay-Z looked at her intently and gestured toward the young artists freestyling on stage. "They're telling their stories, not for fame, but to be heard. So, what's your story, Miley?" His words cut deep, forcing Miley to reflect on her life, a product of Disney's glittering spotlight, where she had never truly been herself. After that night, Miley threw herself into songwriting and decided to collaborate with Pharrell Williams and Mike Will made it to create her album Bangers. When the album was released, however, she faced immediate backlash, accused by the public of cultural appropriation. Miley felt caught between her desire to express herself and the harsh accusations thrown her way. At an award ceremony, Miley crossed paths with Jay-Z again. He asked her, "Do you truly understand what you're doing?" Tears welled up in her eyes. I only know I don't want to live a lie anymore. If I'm wrong, I'm willing to make it right. Placing a hand on her shoulder, Jay-Z said, learn. And respect. Years later, Miley had grown and matured. She publicly apologized for her past mistakes and used her music to honor hip-hop culture. She organized charity performances, supported young artists, and collaborated with rappers to create more genuine music. Miley wasn't perfect, but it was this imperfection that made her a symbol of the struggle to find and assert oneself. Justin Timberlake, the student of soul. Justin Timberlake, the blonde-haired boy from Memphis, Tennessee, discovered his passion for music on a fateful summer afternoon. Wandering into a poor neighborhood, he heard the sound of a piano and a powerful voice emanating from an old wooden house. Drawn in, he entered and met Mr. Ray, a black pianist who had retreated from the world after enduring the pain of racial discrimination. Ray saw potential in Justin and began teaching him gospel, soul, and how to feel music with his heart. Music isn't just notes, it's a story, Ray told him. But their relationship had to remain a secret, as Justin's mother, burdened by prejudice, forbade him from spending time with Ray. When the relationship was discovered, his mother demanded that Justin cut all ties. That night, Justin ran away from home, tears streaming down his face, to see Ray one last time. Ray handed Justin an old music notebook and said, "The music is already inside you. Take it to the world." Shortly after, Ray's wooden house was burned down by racist vandals, and he left Memphis. But Justin never forgot Ray's lessons. As Justin ventured into the music industry, from NSYNC to his solo career, his music consistently carried the influence of soul and R&B, a subtle tribute to the teacher who had changed his life. Songs like Cry Me a River and Suit and Tie carry traces of the gospel and soul Ray had instilled in him. Years later, Justin received an anonymous letter with an address in Chicago. When he arrived, he was shocked to reunite with Ray, now old and frail. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ray said, "You've done what I could never do in my lifetime." The two spent the entire night reminiscing, piecing together memories that seemed long forgotten. Today, Justin openly credits Ray as his greatest inspiration. He actively supports young artists and the black community, honoring their musical legacy. The story of Justin and Ray reminds us that music transcends race, it's the voice of the soul. Madonna, the journey from Harlem to legend. In the early 1980s, Madonna, a young woman who left Michigan for New York with nothing but ambition, lived in a rundown apartment near Harlem, where every street corner echoed with the sounds of funk, soul, and hip-hop. This world, both unfamiliar and enchanting, felt like a vibrant melody that Madonna longed to immerse herself in. One night, while rehearsing in an old recording studio, Madonna heard the sound of a piano coming from the room next door. Intrigued, she stepped in and saw an older black man with salt and pepper hair, his fingers gliding powerfully and effortlessly over the keys. His name was Marcus, a once-renowned jazz musician who had retreated from the spotlight due to the injustices faced by black artists in the music industry. Marcus noticed the fire in Madonna's eyes and invited her to sit down. "Young lady, what are you looking for? Fame or real music?" he asked. With her characteristic candor, Madonna replied, "Both. But I want my music to touch people's hearts." Marcus smiled faintly and began playing jazz infused with soul, as though he were narrating his life story through each note. Madonna was mesmerized. From that moment, Marcus became her unofficial mentor. He taught her how to feel the rhythm of soul, how to make every lyric tell a story. They worked together late into the nights, as Marcus didn't want the locals to know he was teaching a young white woman. Their secret partnership didn't last long. A group of local musicians discovered that Madonna frequently visited Marcus's home. They accused her of stealing black culture for personal gain. Heartbroken, Madonna confronted Marcus. "Are they right? Do I not belong here?" Marcus looked at her silently for a moment before replying, "Belonging doesn't matter. What matters is if you truly understand the meaning of this music. If you don't approach it with respect, you don't deserve to be part of this world." Marcus's lessons stayed with Madonna and became part of her music. Songs like a Prayer and Vogue not only celebrated black culture but also challenged societal boundaries. However, she faced criticism and accusations of cultural appropriation. Instead of shying away, Madonna acknowledged her mistakes and expressed gratitude to the community that inspired her. Today, Madonna remains in touch with Marcus, who has retired from music. They are no longer teacher and student but kindred spirits bound by their love for music. The Rolling Stones and the mysterious Black Mentor. The Rolling Stones, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, were profoundly influenced by black blues music. As young men, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards would often listen to recordings of Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, captivated by the raw emotion and storytelling of the genre. In 1962, at a small bar in London, Mick and Keith heard the haunting sound of an old electric guitar that seemed to grip their very souls. The man playing was Luther Gaines, a black blues musician from Chicago who had once made a name for himself in southern nightclubs before being forced to flee due to racial discrimination. Luther's music wasn't just melody, it was the story of a life filled with struggle and unyielding hope. Entranced, Mick and Keith approached him after the performance, eager to learn. In London during the 1960s, the idea of two white boys learning from a black musician wasn't widely accepted. Luther, wary of attention, kept their lessons discreet. Mick and Keith understood the risks, knowing that their association with Luther could draw criticism. When Brian Jones, a founding member of the Rolling Stones, discovered their connection, he vehemently objected. He demanded they choose between the band and Luther. Mick retorted, "Without blues, we wouldn't have rock and roll. Without Luther, we'd just be frauds." The situation escalated when a local newspaper uncovered their relationship with Luther. The article accused the Rolling Stones of appropriating black culture to gain fame, dragging Luther into a media frenzy he had always sought to avoid. Hurt and angry, Luther severed ties with Mick and Keith. "I taught you everything, but I didn't teach you how to hurt others," he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. Mick and Keith were torn between gratitude and their ambition for success. They decided to write a song to honor Luther, titled "The Dark Side of Blues." But when they tried to find him to share the song, they discovered that Luther had left London, returning to Chicago. The Rolling Stones went on to become legends, infusing blues into iconic tracks like Little Red Rooster and Love in Vain. They consistently credited black artists such as Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and especially Luther Gaines, whose teachings shaped their music and legacy. David Bowie, the journey from rock star to cultural icon. David Bowie, a music legend renowned for his constant reinvention, was often called the alien of the music world. Yet, few know that a significant part of his creative force was deeply influenced by soul and funk, genres rooted in the black community. In the 1970s, Bowie traveled to Philadelphia, where he was introduced to soul music by Carlos, a close black friend who worked at a local recording studio. Carlos took Bowie to a small club where local artists performed soul music with raw, powerful emotion. Bowie sat silently for hours, seemingly hypnotized by the music. Carlos told him, "This isn't just music, it's how we tell our history and our lives." This relationship, however, quickly faced resistance. One night, while Bowie was rehearsing with Carlos, his manager, Tony DeFries, stormed in, visibly upset. "David, you don't need to waste your time in these dead-end streets. You're a rock star, not a soul musician." Bowie, with a fiery gaze, responded, "Soul isn't something to own, it's something to feel. And if I don't have it, I'm nothing." Despite the pressure, Bowie remained steadfast in his decision to embrace and learn from soul music. His song Fame, a collaboration with John Lennon and black artist Luther Vandross, became an emblem of cultural fusion. The album Young Americans, infused with soul and funk influences, demonstrated Bowie's ability to transcend genres and create something entirely new. Though Bowie has left this world, his musical legacy continues to resonate. His commitment to cultural exchange and his fearless exploration of genres remind us that music, at its core, is about breaking boundaries and connecting souls. Zac Efron, Hollywood Dreams, and The Mentor in the Shadows. Zac Efron, the boy with the radiant smile, became a household name through his role in High School Musical. But few know that Zac's journey to acting was nurtured by a black man, Mr. Marcus, the drama coach at his high school. After losing his mother in a tragic accident, Zac's father, an alcoholic, abandoned him when he was just 6 years old. That's when Ruby, a black neighbor with calloused hands and a voice like a sorrowful blues melody, took him in. Ruby not only gave Zac a home but introduced him to a new world where the culture, music, and resilience of the black community became part of his very soul. As a teenager, Zac began performing in small school plays where his acting talent shone. But not everyone supported a white boy raised in a black family. His peers often mocked him, calling him a misfit. Once, Zac overheard a neighbor sneer, "That boy will never make it, he'll be stuck in this corner of the world forever." Those words cut deep into Zac's fragile sense of identity. Furious and hurt, Zac ran home and yelled at Ruby, "Why am I so different? Why do I have to live in a world where I don't belong?" But Ruby, with her familiar calmness, placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You're not different, Zac. You're a blend. And that's what's going to make you extraordinary." Today, Zac Efron is a Hollywood star, but he always makes time to visit Ruby, whom he lovingly calls Mom. In interviews, Zac often speaks of her, sharing how she taught him to love and value diversity. Ruby, now unable to sing as she once did, still smiles every time Zac visits and says, "Zac, you did it. You didn't just tell your story, you told all of ours." Emma Stone, the actress and her silent mentor. In 2010, when Emma Stone landed the lead role in The Help, she never imagined the experience would change her life forever. Though she had already achieved a measure of success, Emma still felt like a red-haired girl from Arizona, constantly striving to prove herself in the world of Hollywood. But it was on the set in Mississippi, under the sweltering summer sun, that she met Althea Johnson, an older black actress who played a maid in the film. Althea exuded a quiet strength and wisdom, and during breaks between takes, Emma found herself drawn to their conversations. Althea spoke of her life experiences, the challenges she had faced as a black actress during decades of discrimination, and the resilience required to keep her passion alive. These talks became a source of inspiration for Emma. From these moments, a unique bond formed between Emma and Althea. But not everyone approved of their closeness. Some members of the film crew whispered that Emma was simply cozying up to Althea to appear woke. One day, Emma accidentally overheard their comments and felt deeply hurt. She went to Althea in tears and said, "They're saying I'm just acting. I don't want you to think that's true." Althea, with her warm, steady voice, placed a comforting hand on Emma's shoulder. "People will always say what they want," she told her. "But what matters is whether you're truly listening to your heart. If you're sincere, no one can take that away from you." After The Help wrapped, Emma and Althea kept in touch, but the whirlwind of Hollywood soon pulled Emma in different directions. One day, Emma received the heartbreaking news that Althea had passed away. In her will, Althea left Emma a small necklace, engraved with the words, "Listen. Tell your story, but never forget the stories that brought you here." Holding the necklace in her hand, Emma felt as though Althea was still with her. Determined to honor her mentor's memory, Emma began working on projects that supported black artists and marginalized voices. In interviews, she often speaks of Althea, calling her the unofficial mentor who changed my life. Lana Del Rey and the black mentor who shaped a legend. In 2006, before she became Lana Del Rey, the enigmatic symbol of nostalgia and melancholy, Elizabeth Woolridge Grant was just a young woman with a worn-out guitar, struggling to find her musical identity. She lived in a small Brooklyn apartment where the sounds of R&B and hip-hop drifted through old speakers on street corners. At night, as dim streetlights filtered through her window, Lana would sit in a frayed chair, listening to Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu, and Tupac on a secondhand radio. One quiet evening, while humming to herself on an empty street, Lana crossed paths with Ray Carter, a black music producer who had worked with underground hip-hop artists. Ray noticed Lana's hauntingly beautiful voice, one that seemed to carry both light and darkness. Intrigued, he offered to mentor her. Ray became Lana's unofficial guide, teaching her to write music not just from emotions, but from real-life stories, stories of people often forgotten by the world. He took her to jazz and hip-hop performances in small bars, introducing her to black artists who had endured the struggles of the music industry. Lana, with her piercing blue eyes and quiet curiosity, absorbed every story and every note like they were pieces of a puzzle meant to help her discover herself. During her time with Ray, Lana uncovered a painful secret about her own past. Her father, whom she had always admired, had once run a real estate company that destroyed numerous homes in black neighborhoods to build luxury housing developments. The revelation shattered her world. She confronted her father, demanding to know why he had done such a thing, but he responded only with silence. This truth became the driving force behind Lana's music, songs that delve into themes of inner conflict, guilt, and redemption. Tracks like Born to Die and Young and Beautiful reflect the R&B influences she absorbed and served not just as musical creations, but as confessions and attempts at atonement. Today, Lana Del Rey frequently speaks of Ray in interviews, calling him the teacher who helped her shape her artistic identity. She actively supports projects that uplift young black artists, using her platform to spotlight talent that might otherwise go unnoticed. Beyoncé and the White Protégé, a priceless lesson from the Queen. In 2015, while Beyoncé was preparing her groundbreaking album Lemonade, she received an unusual email from a young Scottish artist named Clara West. Clara, a white musician with a style blending pop and indie, expressed her deep admiration for Beyoncé. "You are the guiding light for people like me," Clara wrote. "But I don't know how to make my voice truly tell a story." Beyoncé, swamped by her busy schedule, rarely responded to such messages. But there was something about Clara's tone, her sincerity, and burning desire that caught Beyoncé's attention. A week later, Clara received an invitation to Los Angeles for a trial recording session with Beyoncé. Over the following days, Clara gradually opened up to Beyoncé. During one session, Clara composed a song she believed was perfect. But after listening, Beyoncé remained silent for a moment before saying, "It's not enough." Clara was frustrated, feeling as though all her efforts were being dismissed. "You always demand too much." "I've done my best," she shouted. Beyoncé, unfazed and calm, looked at her and said, "Doing your best doesn't mean you've reached your potential. You need to push past the fear of failure to create something truly meaningful." That night, Clara stayed awake, pouring her raw emotions into a new song, one that revealed the pain and loneliness she had hidden for years. The next day, when she performed the song, Beyoncé smiled for the first time. "That's your voice. Never lose it." Today, Clara West is a successful artist, often speaking about Beyoncé as the mentor who transformed her life. Clara calls Beyoncé a beacon, the guiding light who helped her navigate the darkness of self-doubt to discover her true self. Beyoncé, while rarely mentioning Clara in public, remains quietly proud of the artist she has supported behind the scenes. Her story with Clara is a reminder of Beyoncé's dedication to empowering others to find their unique voice, no matter the barriers they face. Chris Hemsworth, the story behind the God of Thunder. Chris Hemsworth, with his chiseled physique and Nordic godlike features, wasn't always the embodiment of Thor. He grew up as a boy in a multicultural, working-class neighborhood in Melbourne, Australia, a place not just defined by its blend of cultures, but also by the clashes of prejudice and social inequality. For Chris, childhood memories weren't just about dusty rugby matches, but also the sound of hip-hop drifting through open windows from the homes of his black neighbors. One of Chris's closest friends was Malik, a black boy with a radiant smile, but scars both visible and invisible from a world that was never fair. Malik was the first to teach Chris about the injustices faced by black communities, from the suspicious stares in grocery stores to the harsh words of local police officers. At 18, Chris got his first big break in acting a small but significant role in a Hollywood film. It meant leaving Melbourne, leaving Malik, and leaving the life he knew. In their final conversation before Chris departed, Malik told him, "You're going to make it big, Chris. But don't forget where you came from." Chris hugged Malik tightly, but in his friend's eyes, he saw a deep sadness that he couldn't erase. Years passed, and Chris rose to international fame, becoming the mighty Thor, the god of thunder, praised worldwide. But beneath the spotlight, he never forgot Malik or the lessons of their shared past. Today, Chris and Malik remain close friends. Chris actively supports Malik's charitable initiatives, not as a celebrity, but as an old friend committed to making a difference. Malik once joked, "You're Thor, but I'm the one who really wields the hammer." They both laughed, but Chris knows the truth. Malik's strength, resilience, and wisdom are the real forces that shaped him into the man he is today. Chris Hemsworth's story reminds us that even the strongest heroes are grounded by the influence of those who stood by them during their formative years. Katy Perry, the journey to truth. In her early struggling days in Los Angeles, Katy Perry spent many nights performing in small clubs, where she first encountered the raw, powerful energy of hip-hop. It was there she met Trayvon Brooks, a black music producer well-respected in the underground scene. Trayvon carried the spirit of legends like Dr. Dre and Tupac in his work. At first, Trayvon wasn't impressed. "You're a white girl from a middle-class background. What do you think you know about the struggles we've been through?" he asked, his tone laced with skepticism. Instead of retreating, Katy responded, "I don't understand, but I want to listen." Music isn't just entertainment, it's the bridge between people who are different. Reluctantly, Trayvon agreed to collaborate with Katy, but their relationship was anything but easy. In the studio, Trayvon often pushed Katy to step out of her comfort zone. One day, when Katy suggested a sugary pop melody, Trayvon shook his head. "It sounds empty. You're trying to please everyone, but music isn't about pleasing, it's about truth." Trayvon's words left Katy awake at night, questioning whether she had what it took to step into a world she didn't fully understand. But instead of giving up, she decided to write a song about her religious upbringing, the limits it imposed, and her journey to break free and find herself. When she performed the song in the studio, Trayvon sat in silence for a long moment before saying, "This is the Katy Perry I've been waiting to see." Today, Katy Perry remains in touch with Trayvon. She actively participates in charitable projects supporting black communities and collaborates with young artists from the hip-hop world. In interviews, Katy openly credits Trayvon as one of the people who changed her perspective on music and the responsibility of being an artist. Her story reminds us that growth often comes from discomfort and that true artistry lies in embracing vulnerability, listening, and telling one's authentic story. Taylor Swift, when friendship transcends the boundaries of race. Taylor Swift, the golden girl of country and pop music, is celebrated for her songs that weave deeply personal stories. Yet, one of the most pivotal stories in Taylor's life stems from her friendship with a black artist named Alicia, an R&B singer who taught her that music has no boundaries. During a charity event in Nashville, Taylor met Alicia, a talented R&B singer struggling to find her place in the music industry. The two quickly bonded over their shared passion for songwriting. Alicia often told Taylor, "Your music is beautiful, but if you push yourself further, you'll discover new layers of who you are." When Taylor made the bold decision to transition from country to pop, she realized she wanted to infuse elements of R&B into her sound. Alicia introduced her to several black music producers who helped shape the fresh and innovative sound of 1989, an album that marked a turning point in Taylor's career. However, this shift wasn't without challenges. Taylor faced backlash from her early fan base, who accused her of betraying her country roots. Through it all, Alicia remained a source of support and inspiration. She reminded Taylor that growth often means stepping into the unknown and embracing change. Their friendship not only expanded Taylor's musical horizons, but also deepened her understanding of the importance of cultural exchange in art. Today, Taylor and Alicia remain close friends. Taylor often speaks about the significance of learning from different cultures and credits Alicia for broadening her musical vision. Without Alicia, Taylor once said, "I wouldn't have found the courage to take the leap and discover the artist I am today." Their story is a testament to the power of friendship and collaboration, showing that true artistry transcends not just genres, but also the boundaries of race and culture. Adele's soul music and the journey back to her roots. Adele, the singer with a voice that brims with raw emotion, has touched millions with her soul-infused songs. Yet, few know that her love for soul music was nurtured during her childhood in Tottenham, a multicultural neighborhood in London. As a young girl, Adele often accompanied her mother to soul music performances at a local bar, where she first met Gloria, a veteran black soul singer. Gloria became Adele's first mentor, teaching her how to use her voice to convey the deepest emotions. Singing isn't just making sounds, Gloria would say. It's telling a story. When Adele rose to fame with her debut album 19, she felt the immense pressure of sustaining her success. During a visit to Tottenham, she sought out Gloria for advice. Gloria told her, "Don't let anyone define you. Sing like you did when you were just a little girl." These words helped Adele rediscover her authenticity, shaping the creation of her iconic album 21, which catapulted her to global stardom. Adele has maintained her connection with Gloria's family and often credits Gloria as a significant influence in her life. She is also an active supporter of organizations that empower young black artists in London, paying forward the inspiration she once received. Adele's journey is a testament to the enduring power of mentorship and the importance of staying true to one's roots, no matter how far success takes you. Cameron Diaz, the mentor who shaped a star. Cameron Diaz, one of Hollywood's leading actresses, has often shared that her acting career was deeply influenced by black colleagues in the film industry. Among them, Darnell, a black director and screenwriter, played a pivotal role during her early days in Hollywood. When Cameron was just a fresh face in the industry, she met Darnell during a casting session. Darnell saw her potential but didn't shy away from pointing out her weaknesses. "Acting isn't about trying to please others, it's about being honest with yourself," he said. During the filming of her debut movie, Cameron faced numerous challenges, from being underestimated by other directors to dealing with pressure from producers. Yet, Darnell stood by her, guiding her through each obstacle. He often shared his own experiences of struggling as a black director in Hollywood, but always emphasized, "We only fail when we give up." Cameron credits Darnell as a mentor who helped her build the foundation of her career. Today, she actively supports projects that empower young filmmakers from minority communities as a way of giving back what she learned from Darnell. Her story is a testament to the importance of mentorship, resilience, and the profound impact of those who believe in us at the start of our journeys. Through the stories of 15 renowned individuals, we can see that cultural fusion is not just a social phenomenon but also a powerful source of inspiration in art and life. These artists, coming from diverse backgrounds, have learned and grown through the influence of the black community and its rich culture. Cultural fusion has given birth to masterpieces in music, film, and art, while also breaking down boundaries and prejudices. This process has not only enriched the world of art, but also demonstrated that when people learn to respect and value one another, extraordinary things can happen. These stories stand as evidence of the strength of diversity and the connections between cultures, a valuable lesson that all of us can learn from. All the information in this video has been gathered from reputable sources and is intended for informational purposes only. We encourage viewers to explore multiple sources to gain a well-rounded and accurate perspective. Don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and follow our channel to stay updated on future videos. Together, let's discover fascinating insights into global culture. Subscribe now to receive our latest videos as soon as they're released.